Right. Good morning, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order. I'll start with Karakia on page 4. Please join in.
Kia horo te marino, kia whakapapa pauna me te moana. Hei ura I ngā tātou I te rangi nei. Aroha atu, ka mai. Tātou I a tātou katoa. Hui tai ki e.
Right. Good morning, everybody. We're being live streamed. I think everybody knows the safety protocols. And we'll start with apologies if there are any. Move on to conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any? No. Any acknowledgements and tributes? Okay. Any urgent business that's not otherwise on the agenda? Okay. And so we come to decision reports of from Janice and Stone.
Thank you. This paper's been put for you today on the back of the workshop. Oh, sorry, I was turning it off. We had last Wednesday with Morrison Lowe to have a discussion about next steps for the consultation process for local waters done well. So I'd ask Robin to come to the table and give a brief explanation of what's in the report and what we're asking of you today.
Morena. Yes, this report is really about wrapping up the work that we've done so far this year, and providing a good springboard for the project team to move forward on a very tight timetable to deliver a consultation document to align with our long-term plan consultation as well in March of April next year, and of course to finally deliver a water services plan by the 3rd of September next year. So in the workshop, we talked about a number of decisions that had to be made in order to enable the project team to move forward with clarity on defining the option of the Wairepa plus Tararua entity that would deliver water services. And also proposed a mechanism in order for us to keep moving forward through our existing advisory oversight group. All the work so far has been done under an existing terms of reference. That existing terms of reference did take us through the development of up to consultation. We will need to come back to you with a refined terms of reference in February, but between now and when we come back to the refined terms of reference, this is testing an enhanced advisory oversight group with some delegated authority to develop this option so that we can keep moving on this timetable. So otherwise, I think the paper goes through all the reasons for the various recommendations, and I'll just take any questions.
Rob, just a quick question in terms of commitment from Tararua, Marsden and Carterton to the proposed entity. What legal commitment do those other councils have to forming this entity as such? I mean, we're yet to consult on it, I agree, but is there an opportunity that one may choose to opt out at some stage before we actually get establishment underway, or is there a legal commitment from each of the councils?
At the moment, what we have from each of the councils, the resolutions that you're going to see today and the recommendations we've made today are all being lined up across all 4 councils. So we're all making these commitments at the same time. Carterton had a meeting last week, Marsden's got a meeting tomorrow, and then our meeting today. So we're all lining up. When we come back with the terms of reference in February, we will be considering the issues of what happens if somebody drops out before we get to consultation, what happens if after consultation they don't go with a Y+T option. That's going to be part of the terms of reference. We'd actually engaged some legal advice earlier in the year to form a draft agreement for us that all our councils could sign into. We're going to incorporate that into that terms of reference that you will see in February.
Thanks, Rob.
Comprehensive. Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Robin. This is recommendations. I personally don't think it has to be a mayor or a deputy mayor. It's just my opinion. It could be 2 councillors. I don't think that should be in there. I noticed in the terms.
Can we explore that? Just get a comment on that? Yeah. Because that was the same question I was going to ask. Just, I'd like to hear them.
Oh, I think that was just, that's just a suggestion, and I think that was discussed in the workshop last week. I know Carterton had nominated Ron Mark, the mayor, and councillor Taylor at the moment. So I'm sure it's open.
And I just noticed in some of the old terms of references, there's still a lot of mention about us tied to Wellington. Is all that going to be removed?
Yes, all that will be removed. There will be a new terms of reference.
Yes. Yeah, sweet.
We just haven't had a chance to get that all written up before the end of the year. And we want the enhanced AOG to have input into that terms of reference.
Yep. And I did notice in here, I just can't remember which page it was on now off the top of my bloody head, is the mention with stormwater wanting to be included, and it claims here that issues exuberated by poor stormwater management such as I&I in the wastewater network. Well, in my view, I&I is actually not stormwater. It is ground infiltration. The only stormwater is off private houses, which is actually not councils it's our concern to stop it, but it's not actually our stormwater, it's theirs. So I don't think that should actually be stated like that in my personal view.
Wasn't so much a question, but we could turn it into a question. And do you have a view, Rob?
I think at this point, we're talking about the consultation document, not the delivery plan. So that's the point noted, and we can pick that up later in the process, but it's not anything that would need to be in the consultation at this point.
Yes.
Just further on stormwater, would that possibly, maybe I'm just coming in way too early, and would that be something that would perhaps be looked at in consultation on whether or not councils looked at stormwater being in here at this time? Because as we know, stormwater hasn't even been explored. So the kind of cost that I'm thinking that one piece would actually take could be quite high on our ratepayers. So I'm just wondering, is that something that we would be looking at to get set up straight away, or is that something that could be looked at down the line?
I think this is one of the things that we'll be talking to the AOG about because they've been delegated the authority to develop the proposal and the option. The project team has asked for stormwater to be in at the moment because all the work that we've currently done in terms of financial modelling has included stormwater in there. And so for us to keep moving at the moment, it's not easier, but I suppose the word is kind of easier if we keep going and we can take it out rather than getting to the end and try to put it in. So everything's going to be looked at as we go through development of the option and working with the AOG and ultimately into consultation.
So then this could perhaps be looked at as perhaps a consultation query throughout the district by different councils on whether or not this is something that they could explore individually rather than all coming into this one part. I'm just really aware of the additional costs that could come, and I'd almost like to see that separated. So then that way, when whatever is presented, it actually shows what the difference is between the cost of having stormwater in and having it out.
I think that was discussed at the meeting last week.
It was, yeah. And the general feeling from the meeting was that it was included in the consultation.
I wouldn't think it was the general.
But how is it going to be included? That's why I'm just saying how it could be included is perhaps actually seeing what there is, because I think that with stormwater and we could be seeing quite a large hit on our ratepayers, and that I don't want to see if it can be moved down further, or if there is a way that it can be explored by each council. Because when we're talking about things like exactly what councillor what he said about with regards to what stormwater is and that it's coming from individual houses. We already know we have a massive land mass down here, but not so much the houses. So what the effect could be from us compared to some of the other councils, and I'm sure it could be quite similar within the Tauranga district too. So I just really want that to be put into consideration if that's possible.
The size of our, from the meeting the other day, the values they had on our assets was actually huge for what I would have thought it would have been, when we all say that we haven't actually got a big stormwater network as far as infrastructure. So we need to know what those assets include. Is it every roading culvert around the district, or where have these assets come from, and what does it all include before we can make it?
I think it is.
Sorry, there may be a step.
That's the stormwater rather than anything else.
I do think, this is, stormwater is the one that we have a decision to make about whether stormwater is in or not. But what we can't lose sight of is, at some point, ratepayers will be affected by the cost of maintaining stormwater. And it would make more sense for stormwater to be in the tent with the other two waters, given the borrowing capacity of the new entity, than trying to hold it and manage it on our own. From our perspective.
I think the other thing we're forgetting, and we've talked about this for certainly in the last 6 years, is the discharge of stormwater into the water races, and there's going to be requirements on testing that water quality going into those water races. And if it's not up to spec, then it's going to have to be cleaned or treated before it gets discharged into there, and there will be a huge cost, particularly for Greytown, where it does go into the water race. So, be careful what you ask for. That may well come back to bite us.
Point, because there'll be legislative targets for that too.
But we don't know what all that is yet, Alistair. It's hard to make it.
It's not hard to understand that the regulator is about to let the standards. Is that not right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it is coming, whether we want it or not.
Can I just bring the table back? What we're talking about here is the consultation document, not a delivery mechanism. This isn't about the entity itself or how it delivers services. This request is purely about moving the organisation forward to prepare a consultation document to go out in the new year, running alongside the LTD. So all valid points, but I don't want to get into much weeds about the detail about stormwater, because this is about consultation. And I think we've heard consultation requires a decision about whether stormwater is in or not. That's the point at which I would ask to leave it.
Could I please hear from Melissa as to whether you think you've got the capacity to do the job? Because obviously the way this is written, it's the Mayor or Deputy Mayor, so it's not really a choice. So I'd really like to see how you're placed, and whether or not we go Woody's select choice of 2 councillors. So, or we have to rearrange your workload.
Yes, so I think, Colin made a good point outside of this meeting that I sit on the Wellington Water Committee, the Moana Stat Board Committee, and the Wairarapa Water Resilience Committee. So kind of all water related and all trying very hard to be interconnected and on the same page. It does make sense that we would carry that water focus into the AOG. But I am also conscious that outside of those 3 water committees, I do also sit in a number of other committees, and my workload is getting quite high. So I'm happy to take on this role, but would like to discuss with council in the new year, looking at a bit of a redistribution of some of those other regional committee positions to offset the workload.
Excellent.
Great.
Right. Kay, you had one to make? Well, in that case, let's come to, it's number 2 under my recommendations, but it's really the first one. I move that we receive the report. I have a second. I do. Councillor Plummer. Any further comments? All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Pass. Recommendations 3, 4, 5 and 6 are all noting recommendations, so I will move them collectively. Do I have a second? I do. Councillor Plummer, thanks very much. Any comments, observations? And then I'll move Recommendations 3, 4, 5 and 6. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's, so we come to what's listed as recommendation 7, that we agree that until the full update in February 2025, work to develop the Wairarapa plus Tararua water services delivery option continues under the existing project terms of reference, with 2 amendments to expand the membership of the advisory oversight group to include 2 elected members, one of which be the mayor or the deputy mayor. We could have amended that, and to include a delegation to the advisory oversight group to develop a draft consultation document for the Wairarapa plus Tararua water services delivery option, which I know is kind of the key element of today. So I will move that. Councillor Elam seconds it. Any comments?
Yeah, I'd still like to take the bit out that has to be the mayor or deputy mayor.
But yeah, we could have amended that, but since the deputy mayor has indicated her willingness.
Unless you're going to put your hand up.
I want to get on it, but
Oh, well.
It does say 2. It does say 2 elected members. So 1 being deputy mayor.
The other one is Colin.
Oh, I see.
Already there.
I see.
Okay, all in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
On the contrary, that's passed.
Well, he was opposed to it.
Part 8 agrees that the Wairarapa water service model will be a water services council controlled organisation. Councillor Plummer moves it. Councillor Maynard seconds it. Any comments, Councillor Plummer? Any comments, anyone? All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Passed. Agree to progress the Wairarapa plus Tararua water services delivery option. Stormwater, I have Councillor Plummer moving it, Councillor. But do you wish to speak? No. I wish to speak. I agree with Janice's point that it is easier to include it now and take it out later than the other way around. But to be honest, I don't think collectively we've got a clue what we're talking about. If you take Wellington, for example, in Wellington, you have a house on a hill, you have water coming in, you have wastewater going out, you have stormwater going out the pipe that goes into another pipe that goes into a system. So in Wellington, if they want to charge users, they'll be able to charge users for their water, their wastewater and their stormwater. Who are you going to charge here? Stormwater question.
So isn't that the point of having a committee to deal with these matters?
No, it's not. It's part of the legislation is that this new entity is user pays.
Yeah, but they've got to develop the whole concept of what it's going to look like.
Complexity here, which doesn't seem to have entered into anyone's thought. But it may be that it's lived in
I think that's an unfair comment. I don't think.
Both Willie and I raised it. Yes.
I've not heard the point mentioned about how you would institute a users pays system for stormwater in a more rural area. Yeah, Councillor Elam.
I'd also just like to make the point that, yeah, certainly while Woody has mentioned about stormwater coming from private properties and private sections, we also have the issue of stormwater on generated from hard surfaces, roads, car parks and that sort of thing as well, which all end up needing to flow somewhere. So it's, I think it's, as opposed to just an individual ratepayers issue, it's a collective, a collective whole issue for the district.
I'll make a little bit on that. Because the way the system works in our towns at the moment is that everybody is responsible for the stormwater that's on their property. Everybody is meant to they build their house suitable, so pits, etc., etc. When it comes to the stormwater that's falling on our roads and on our pavements, etc., the organisation will have no problem knowing who to charge because it's on council owned property, they'll just send the council a bill for that. So I don't think that's going to be a big problem. But it's, are we going to expect people, individuals, that have paid extra to develop their own section-based stormwater systems and then pay extra in some way? I don't know how that's going to work, but anyway.
Do we want to let staff make any comment on that?
Through the chair, we already rate for stormwater, and it's on a CV-based targeted rate, and the charge going into the new entity is something that they wish to talk to the councils around about how and who they and how they would base those charges. It isn't quite as straightforward as the water and wastewater charges could be, and so there is still dialogue happening in that space. So there is recognition that stormwater is the odd one out of the three in terms of how it's monitored, collected and charged for. So that's still something that the water CCO would have a discussion with the regulator around.
So I really want to highlight the point that stormwater discharge is a consentable activity and controlled by regulation and the Natural Resources Plan. So if we were to retain that, then they would have the additional responsibility of getting that consented either on a global or a specific basis. So.
Yeah, yeah, I think on that point, Colin, didn't they state the other day it's going to be a national standard, so you don't need consent? It's all, everyone's the same.
You will need consent.
Got to have consent.
So
Moving forward.
I'm happy to leave it in there now, as long as we get guarantee that it can be taken out and there is going to be specific targeted looking at this discussion and yeah, more information.
I think there'll be further discussions on it, I have no doubt.
I think it's clear to the AOG that this is something we need to look into when we're preparing the document.
Yes,
Yeah, because
absolutely. Yeah.
if,
As long as there's a guarantee with that, I don't have a problem with this being in here at this time. We just need to know that when it comes to stormwater, we're going to need a little bit more information.
and if down the track you did keep it in, do we tie it in with the roading side of things, because a lot of the stormwater is involved with roading.
And I think the stormwater is going to become a much bigger issue with the increased rainfall that's predicted.
We've just gone on total fire ban, so it's
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a little trouble hearing, Kat.
I just think the stormwater is going to be a bigger issue with the increased rainfall, which has been predicted. There's going to be a lot more water, stormwater coming down from the sky.
That's funny.
There'll be a lot more. And there'll be water coming off other properties that will be flowing onto different people's properties and those sort of questions.
Okay, so note 9, all in favour if you agree to progress the Wairarapa plus Tauranga water service delivery option to include stormwater.
Yep.
And against? Okay, that's passed. And the last one, agree to include options for price harmonisation in the consultation document. Wairarapa plus Tauranga water services delivery option, including a prohibition against harmonisation for a 3 to 5 year period.
Yep, seeing as I spoke fervently in favour of it, I suppose I should.
There are several bits there. You're in favour of them all.
Yeah, I was, yeah, absolutely.
And do I have a second? We do, Councillor Olds. Any comments?
Stage.
Yeah. All in favour, please say
Yes.
aye. And I'll move that I move that we appoint Melissa to the advisory and oversight group. I have a second that do. Thanks.
The chair, could we reconfirm Colin as the other member as well, please, just so that we've got it on record?
Yeah, in case you want to get rid of me. Good opportunity.
Our current representative, Councillor Olds.
Good opportunity to get rid of me.
With that, Councillor Thompson,
He's saying, yeah.
any comment? I think we've discussed
Doing
it.
a superb job.
You're looking wrong.
I would just like the things outside of water that our deputy mayor has taken on to perhaps be looked at and come back to the next meeting so we can see about ensuring that the rest of our our council can help to support her workload with this. So yeah, that can be noted. Cool. Thank you.
The mayor is appointing.
Aye.
Aye.
And that includes of the paper. And therefore, we come to section one, which is public excluded business. And we need to turn things off. And
Yes, let's do that.
that's all right, you beat me to it. So on page 20, we have a resolution to exclude the public. So I will move that the public be excluded from the following parts of the proceedings. And the general subject matter is the future direction of water services. The reason we need to exclude the public is to enable the council to carry out its business without prejudice or disadvantage to commercial activities. And section 48(1)(a)(1) is the relevant section of the Act for permitting us to do this. Do I have a seconder? I do, Councillor Eland. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
So now we'll move to the